Alright, hey guys, James here from 5-Star-Rating-22. We're going to be learning another technique today. Well, I shouldn't really say a technique as much as I want to define a term or give a definition, try to clear up a term that's quite frequently used in miniature painting and reference, but is more or less a broad term used that's not so much a technique as a way of defining the outcome of techniques used to get that, and that's a gradient. That's what I want to talk about today. I'm using I wanted to try and use the tablet for a couple different reasons. I think it'd be a lot easier for defining this term, and for today's technique there's a little bit, let me see if I can get rid of, hey there, that's a little better. Okay, so I got rid of a little bit of the glare there. So we're talking about a gradient. Now a gradient is a broad term that is actually used to define many different areas. Let me pop this up here so I can adjust because it's going to white out for a bit. It's a broad term that's used for many different things. It is actually used for, most people know, when you say a gradient, most people have a general idea of what a gradient is. There's gradients in math, there's gradients used to describe such things as like a road or a railway. It's a slope. It's a gradual incline or decline in the structure of something. Such as if I drew a line, the actual the point from here, this point here, that part in between, that's the gradient, the gradual change in something. So now this is the actual definition of it. It's the degree of such a slope, an inclined part of a road or railway, a slope, and then the synonyms for it, inclination, incline, tilt, pitch, downhill. So I wanted to bring that up just to say, but from now on, I'm going to talk about a gradient as in painting terms, as in painting miniatures. I want to define that term, or what most people are referencing when they say, they might have a miniature where they say, I used a gradient to get this effect on the shoulder pad or such not. But that's the actual definition of gradient. And then, but when talking about a gradient in painting, what we're usually talking about, or with miniature painting, what we're talking about is a gradual change in color. From, most of the time, they're talking about from a light to a dark, or vice versa, a dark to a light. And that change that is happening in the color, that's a gradient. So it's actually not so much a technique as it is, defining something, that change in color. Now, most of the time, it's, you're going from light to dark, or a highlight to a shadow, or, vice versa again. And that's most of the time what someone's saying when they say a gradient, referring to miniature painting. And so, it's just a gradual change in color. And most of the time that's going to be in the same color area. You might go, there's going to be times where there is a change, like let's say with a yellow, you might go from a dark brown to a pretty bright or pretty light colored yellow. So there's quite a drastic change through that gradient, but still many browns have a yellow hue to them, or a yellow tint in them, so it's still keeping that yellow as a thing. Again, you might say with a red colored piece of armor, you might go from, again, a dark reddish brown to a pretty bright orange color, but again, red being the familiar color throughout the change. So what I did here, I just drew this up real quick. It's nothing spectacular. Don't mind, I wasn't trying to get points or anything on this, but I wanted to give you an idea. So you can see here I drew a sphere, and then I gave it some definition by giving it highlights and dark areas or depth. So you can see here the high part here it's almost a white, it's a very light gray, and it gradually changes to a black. And so that gradual change, that's a gradient. It's that change in color, that shift. Now you would say that this gradient is not very smooth. You can see the lines, and it's very sharp. It goes from this gray here to this little bit darker gray to this almost black gray to black. So I mean, it's not smooth. A lot of gradients, when you're doing a gradient on a miniature, you're trying to make it smooth. You want that transition to be as easy on the eye as possible. Now, if I put this far away, it's going to look a lot smoother the farther away you get. And again, on miniatures now, that's a good thing to remember, because a lot of times you're not looking at a miniature close up, especially if you're making an army and you have a ton of troops. Most of the time you're going to be seeing them a ways away on the battlefield. They're not going to be picking them up and holding them up real close, so you can have a little sharper gradients and still have it look rather nice. Now, the farther away this gets, this looks more like a sphere, but again, when I blow it up, you can very easily see the change there. So that's what a gradient is that change. So I wanted to define this term a little better, because as we get into further techniques, more advanced techniques, gradients are going to become very vital. It's going to be important for you to understand what a gradient is, as far as doing layering or blending, or object source lighting, or non-metallic metals. It's going to be important to understand what that is. And so it's the most important thing to take away from this is that when someone's talking about a gradient in miniature painting, or if I'm saying it, I'm talking about the actual change from one color to another color. It's a shift, and again, most of the time it's going to be in the same color spectrum, or it's going to have that familiar hue throughout, from the dark to the light. Again, bringing up the brown to the yellow. But that's not a definite. In many Chaos Demon, Slaanesh type armies, you will see they have gradients that go from very, very strange different colors. And so don't limit it. Don't say that's not a set rule. It's not a law where it has to be in the same color hue. I mean, you can have a gradient go from whatever color to whatever color, such as you can go from a blue to a red if you wanted to, or a yellow to a blue if you wanted to. So it's not a definite law or anything like that. So when we get further on into the other techniques with blending and layering and such that are coming very soon, I wanted you to know this so that it would be easier for you to comprehend that transition that we're talking about when we talk about gradients. So hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully this defines it a little better, makes it easier for you to grasp on right away. Oh, gradient. Okay, he's talking about the change. So and again, if you're talking about a smooth gradient, you're not going to notice the the color changes as much as with a rough gradient, where the lines are, the change in the paint is very definite. Not as well blended, where with wet blending, again, this is, we haven't gone over this yet, but with wet blending, you wouldn't see this line of transition between the colors. The whole goal of the wet blending would be to try and blend that changing area there where it's shifting from one color to another. You'd want that to be blended in so it's smooth. It makes it very easy for the eye to traverse between them. And in real life scenarios, in real life, when things are changing colors due to, where light's hitting something, where shadow's hitting something, there is a very smooth gradient in between the colors. So that's what we're, optimally, that's what you want to try to get when you're doing a gradient. But again, due to time restraints and workload and such, will determine how much you can put into that. So again, thank you for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful. Please subscribe, like, leave comments, or tell your friends if you really enjoyed. Take care. Oh, and as one final note, my girlfriend says I never mention her in my videos, so I just wanted to quickly say how much I absolutely love her, and she's the best girlfriend in the entire world. No offense to other girlfriends out there, but I'm a pretty lucky guy. I love you very much, and that's for you, Toy.